Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to bring you guys my pseudo list of the best tier 2 characters for new players of the game. This idea was inspired by the Black Bolt review that I did yesterday, and I just thought it would be good to go over the characters that are best for tier 2 for new people to the game. So if you just started playing the game, if you just started amassing tier 2 tickets and you don't know who to get and why, then this is for you. And this is for you because tier 2 tickets are not easy to come by, and you need tier 2 characters quickly and early in order to compete in Shadowlands, Extreme Alliance Battle, and most importantly World Boss, to get more materials in order to get more tier 2s and then native tier 2s. So of course native tier 2s will be left off this list, and we're going to display each character as they're playing to show you both what they can do in World Boss and then what their tier 2 passive does. So Elsa Bloodstone is first up on this list, but this list itself is not in any particular order. So as you can see there, Elsa has one of the most powerful tier 2s because when she triggers her 5th skill with her tier 2 ability, it gives her 5 seconds of immunity in addition to some damage and some guaranteed dodge. Now that will be a common theme amongst most of the characters on this list because most of them have that quality, which makes them extremely good for new players to pick up and play with and get used to the skill rotations for without getting massively punished. Black Bolt is another excellent example. We covered a lot of it in detail in the review, but his 5th skill, triggered with Silent King's tier 2 ability, gives him ignore dodge, a boost in damage, and most importantly that 5 seconds, that crucial immunity, which basically allows you to face tank without taking any damage, without getting punished. He actually clears here Black Dwarf faster than Elsa, which is pretty insane. And I try to do these with no strikers or very minimal strikers and with no or very few team up bonuses or leaderships. Sharon Rogers is another character who, despite my lack of tier 2, is actually a fantastic tier 2 character. And if you look at her expert lancer, she reduces all incoming damage by 30%, which is massive, and she gets bonus damage to her character. Now because I don't have her at tier 2, this fight takes a little bit longer than it should, and I have some additional difficulties. But if you do tier 2 your Sharon Rogers, you will not be disappointed with the results. She is an absolute beast. She auto plays very well, and because her 3rd skill is the skill you trigger for, you guessed it, 5 seconds of immunity, it makes for a lot of flexibility in the way that you play, and you can get away with a lot more given your rotation. And once you get comfortable using iframes on her 4th and kind of on her 2nd skill, kind of on her 5th skill, and you can make the character even more powerful than just some like Black Bolt or Elsa, because she also gets a damage buff when she uses her 3rd skill by accumulating damage while she's still immune. Spider-Man had to finish this one off for me, but I can assure you that Sharon Rogers, if you don't already know, if you're not familiar with the game yet, is an absolute monster at tier 2 and definitely worthy of your investment. Iron Fist is the first one up on this list who absolutely does need his uniform to be great. It's arguable that Elsa does need her uniform as well, but she still gets that immunity regardless of the uniform. However, Iron Fist does not have immunity with his tier 2. It is tied to his uniform. Without this new uniform, the Netflix uniform, his tier 2, while good, still leaves the character in an awkward place. So for Iron Fist, it is a combination of both his tier 2 and his uniform that make him so great. However, at tier 1, he's still missing some of that burst damage that the tier 2 passive with the guaranteed dodge and the guaranteed crit rate really gives him. Now in Captain Marvel's case, who is the next one up here, I did need to use just a couple of strikers to show you guys and showcase her power, because I don't have her at tier 2 just yet, and because Corvus has a very high dodge rate. But even at tier 1, you can almost get away with having an immune character all the time because of her 4th skill of Binary Explosion, which you see there gives her 5 seconds of damage immunity. Now her tier 2 passive Carol Core seemed really lackluster if you just read it out. 20% increase to all buffs and 30% increase to duration. However, immunity to damage is a buff. It's a self buff that you apply to your own character. So if you have a situation, or if you have another skill or another leadership or another passive that increases the duration of buffs or increases their effect, you will then increase potentially the duration of your immunity. In this case, with tier 2, Carol can be immune for the entire 6 seconds, and as you can see there, Binary Explosion has a cooldown time of 12 seconds, so if you get maximum skill cooldown, 12 minus 50% is 6. Then you have 6-second cooldown with 6 seconds of immunity, and suddenly Captain Marvel is immune for 100% of the time, which makes her very easy for new players to pick up and use and succeed with. I have success despite some difficulty, and this is at tier 1 with 2 strikers and a decent team up bonus with both Kamala Khan and Captain America. But if you do this with other setups, you can definitely, especially at tier 2, get this done a lot faster. Another thing that you'll note for most of these characters is they have self-buffing leaderships. Elsa buffs her own physical damage, Black Bolt buffs his energy damage, Captain Marvel buffs her energy damage as well. So you can see that as a common theme amongst a lot of these characters, and we had to finish it off there with Miss Marvel, unfortunately, because Captain Marvel took a little bit of damage, which would never happen at tier 2. Shouldn't dissuade you from getting her. Another very good tier 2 character that buffs their own damage with their leadership is Medusa. Medusa probably doesn't rank as high on this list if I was going to rank them from 1 to 10, because you do need to get her bios with selectors, so it is a little bit difficult. But her third skill, which is the one that I triggered there at the beginning, gives her 5 seconds of immunity, which is that golden number that we're looking for in a lot of these tier 2s, and it gives her crit damage, or crit rate, sorry, to boost her damage. She also has not 1 but 2 iframe skills to keep her out of harm's way while that third skill is on cooldown, because as you can see there, it's got a pretty long cooldown of 9 seconds even with cap skill cooldown, so you do need to manage that in the meantime for about 3.5 to 4 seconds. But her iframes do help tremendously with that. Not to mention the fact that she deals respectable damage, she deals physical damage, which is not that easy to come by these days, and her tier 2 passive just makes things even easier. Guaranteed dodge increase, guaranteed crit rate increase, and a damage increase to both skill and bonuses. So both of those make her a pretty formidable tier 2. She's a female hero, so she's also very good for Shadowland, and of course, universals are the premium category, the premium typing for Shadowlands. So getting Medusa at tier 2, not only will she match your Black Bolt, which I'm thinking of doing, but she is formidable on her own and very new player or noob friendly. Another very good tier 2 is Red Hulk. Like Iron Fist, however, he does need his uniform to be good. Without the uniform, tier 2 Red Hulk is not so great, but with his uniform, he gets 2 heals and he gets immunity, which basically makes him unkillable when played manually. So the thing that you don't see here from his tier 2 is that it also increases absorb radiation, which is his passive, his 4-star passive. It increases that HP heal from 10% up, and then it also gives him damage reduction to the tune of 30%, which is like Odin and Sharon Rogers. It's fantastic. And it increases his damage output, which is already great given that, again, he has a self-buffing leadership, 60% fire damage, which stacks on all of his skills. However, absorb radiation is only a one-time heal. It only happens once every 5 seconds, so it is important to get that extra heal that the uniform gives you. On top of that, the uniform also gives Red Hulk 3 seconds of immunity when he triggers his third skill, which is the one that I'm triggering basically every 5 seconds that it's available. So that immunity, coupled with the damage increase, coupled with the double heals, make him a fantastic tier 2 character given the fact that you have his uniform. Without it, you're gonna see some struggle, but not a lot. Another very, very good tier 2, and one that you will eventually get if you just keep playing Villain Siege, is Kate Bishop. Kate Bishop is one of the best speed characters in the game. She's female, she has so many CCs, so she's automatically a very high-ranked character for Shadowlands. She does very well in Extreme Alliance battle, despite the fact that she's currently being outshined by Kid Kaiju. But paywall characters aside, Kate Bishop's no slouch. She's a bit of a beast. She has crazy burst damage potential with very high native crit rate and ignore dodge, so she's very good against other speed types as well in like Battle World or Timeline and PvP arenas. And her tier 2 really brings her up to another level and really increases her damage tenfold. There are arguments to be made for other tier 2 characters, but the speed class is pretty lacking as far as reliable tier 2s, so I do think that there's a pretty solid argument to be made for Kate Bishop. The only arena that she is really going to struggle in is against Black Dwarf, whether it's in World Boss or the World Boss Dimension Rifts. So as you can see here, I do need to do some creative kiting and some switching to use Songbird's shield, because she does lack that survivability. Kate Bishop is one of the only characters on this list who doesn't have triggerable immunity, but if every character had it, it would be pretty boring, and she's probably one of the more fun characters to play for that reason. Black Panther is another character who has immunity, and he has immunity on his 5th skill, and yes, of course, again, it is for 5 seconds. So whether you get Black Bolt, or Black Panther, sorry, at tier 1 or tier 2, you will have that immunity. However, I will make an argument for his tier 2. Because of the fact that it gives him an all-speed increase, which is very difficult for new players to obtain from cards, it decreases damage received by 15%, so even if you make mistakes or you don't have capped skill cooldown, you won't take that much damage, and then it also gives his damage a bump here. The only negative I can say against Black Panther as far as my run through against the double world boss is concerned is that his damage wasn't fantastic. He didn't have physical leadership, but still, it was a little bit slow, it took a long time, and it exposed me and it made me vulnerable to making mistakes and getting hit in that meantime. So I think that tier 2ing him is a pretty decent option to do. It's a pretty good idea. You can score well above 100,000 on Extreme Alliance Battle Combat Hero Day with Black Panther, so he is very versatile in many different game modes: Shadowlands, World Boss, Alliance Battle, Timeline, and especially when played manually, it's very difficult to get hit with him, and his tier 2 just improves that. But you still get a lot of value from him at tier 1 because of Unseen Predator, which is his 5th skill on screen right now, and that's the one that gives him a damage buff and the 5 seconds of immunity, which are crucial for new players just getting acclimated to the game. Now the footage you're seeing, of course, takes a while. I do take the majority of the 5 minutes to clear here. We do have a couple of bonuses with White Tiger and Black Cat, but I did it more for the thematic nature than for the overall success rate, and my obelisk of immunity or invincibility does come in handy quite a few times to keep Black Panther alive, I will admit that, but my Black Panther is tier 1, so this is a showing that's not perfect, of course, because he would do more damage and he would have more survivability had he been tier 2. Again, like Kate Bishop, you're still going to have some struggles against Black Dwarf because of his massive physical damage reduction. He has like physical defense way up into the tens of thousands, so you do see a drop off in your damage against him specifically. But otherwise, I think that Black Panther is an excellent character, and although I have said it's not necessary to get him at tier 2, I think for new players he can be a fantastic addition to your roster, and he won't disappoint given that base 5 seconds of immunity. Now the last one on this list I also don't have at tier 2, but he's another fantastic choice, and he is a supervillain, and this one is Yellowjacket. I tried to balance out the list a little bit with enough universal speed, combat, and blast, so Yellowjacket for me is the best choice. He has insane burst damage potential already at tier 1, but he does lack survivability, and although he does not have any iframes, although he does have iframes, he does not have any invincibility or immunity, so the guaranteed dodge rate of 20% is very welcome at tier 2 to kind of complete his kit. The guaranteed crit damage and crit rate just, skyrockets his DPS, and it also increases bounce back. And bounce back is when he shrinks down at 30% health or lower, he'll get a damage boost. So that will then just boost his damage even further, multiplying his damage even more. So Yellowjacket is a very, very powerful character. He's probably one of the more difficult ones to use at tier 1 until you get him up to tier 2, but he is a Dimension Rift bio character, so you will be grinding for his bios anyways when you're trying to get those daily Dimension Rifts done for the rewards, because they're very important for new players to get that extra gold, those extra debris, and that extra energy. So investing that time and investing those Dimension Rifts in Yellowjacket, if you plan on tier 2ing him to get those world boss kills, is fantastic. As a super villain, he's also very, very good in Shadowlands and very flexible, so he will be one of the more sought after characters if you need both a world boss clear and a Shadowlands reliable character. Although I do struggle here a little bit against Black Dwarf, it's partly because I just don't have any survivability with my Yellow Jacket. I should have an invincibility proc on his obelisk, and I don't, and I should also have him at tier 2, which I don't, to get that guaranteed dodge, which would probably give him back some life because he would take fewer hits. Ultimately, I don't end up finishing the fight with Yellow Jacket by a hair, but at tier 2 he could more than handily defeat Black Dwarf in either regular dimension rifts or... Well, that was unexpected. So let me know what you guys think of the compilation of heroes. Let me know your thoughts, who you've tier 2'd and who you haven't, and who's coming up next for you. And of course, guys, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.